And what a win it was for the 2015 champion late last night. His 13-11 victory over Jack Lazowski was an absolute classic. And here he is, emerging in front of his mum Maureen on her birthday for a fifth quarter-final, 11 years after his first. He's also playing the best snooker we've seen from him all season long, the pride of Essex, Stuart Bingham. And now to the greatest player in history, emerging for a record-extending 22nd Crucible quarter-final. Winner of 5 major titles this season, still at the peak of his powers after 3 decades at the top, the one and only Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
The usual rousing reception for all players. Don't forget, Karen Wilson, John Higgins, the first 8 frames of their quarter-final. You can watch that without missing a single ball over on Discovery+. Here, Dom and myself will be focusing our attention on Ronnie O'Sullivan's latest attempt to win this 8th world title. And the first shot from Bingham, Dom, was a real miscue. Not a miscue in the sense of a vile-sounding thing off the tip, but, wow, he misjudged it, let's put it that way.
Yes, caught the end red too thinly. Keeper went the other side of the blue. Instead of inside the blue, it went outside of it, nearly found the pocket, which would have made this long red for Ronnie O'Sullivan much easier. Very good afternoon, everybody. Really looking forward to this. Especially if Ronnie O'Sullivan can keep knocking pots in like that. Key question here for me, Philip, is how much has that real gruelling encounter from last night taken out of Stuart Bingham? He got through 13-11, but won and lost frames that would have taken a lot out of anybody. Is he fresh enough to perform well in this first session here of 3 against Ronnie O'Sullivan, the game's greatest ever player?
Yeah, I think the same thing applies. The big question applies to John Higgins as well. Logistically, you've got to have people going into the last 8 early, others going in late. But obviously, Dave Gilbert was first in. He was fresh this morning. It showed. Will Higgins, will Bingham be able to go again?
6.
Ronnie just having a look to see if the black will pot into the right corner. If it does, he should be able to nudge off the red above the black to be on it.
Seven.
Judged this really well. Maybe the black doesn't pot into the right corner, so Ronnie's had to screw off the pack to play it in the left. Oh, he's missed the black. That's exactly what Stuart Bingham needs to see from Ronnie, the odd mistake like that, because he will be jaded, he won't be fresh. But a mistake from Ronnie O'Sullivan like that will encourage him.
Yes, against Ryan Day, there was plenty of excellence, but also plenty of mistakes.
One.
I mentioned Bingham's win over O'Sullivan here, 13-9, at the same stage of the championship 9 years ago. His other 2 wins were also on a big stage at the UK Championship in 2010 and 2013.
Six.
You can see in the middle of our camera shot there's a plant on for Stuart. Did wonder initially what he played for there.
7.
Disappointed not to be on a colour better. Not the best cannon from cue ball to blue, but the blue is possible into the green pocket. Very missable though. And all of these reds do seem to be covering one another. There's a line of 4 there to the right of the black that he could get onto. But have to be very precise with the positioning of the cue ball.
Thirteen.
That's a very good positional shot from Stuart Bingham. I wonder if it's worth playing a delicate cannon here into the reds and the black. You could do with that black.
Would you please check your earpieces
Being
because they're
potable.
quite loud? Thank you.
Once again, problems with the volume controls on the earpieces. The referee, Desislava Bozhilova, just mentioning it to the audience members to turn their volumes down on their earpieces. Had to take a bit of a risk there, Stuart. There was never a guaranteed finish on a red, and he may have a thin cutback, but he's been unlucky there.
Stuart Bingham, 18.
O'Sullivan has made good starts to both of these matches here so far. Ooh, as thin as you like. He dominated the early exchanges against Jackson Page, and then against Ryan Day, he was superb in winning the first 2 with breaks of 123 and 84. In this frame, though, a couple of errors.
Chance here for Ronnie perhaps to play the loose red to the left. If you can play it over towards the right, he can then block that left-hand side of the table. Playing off these 3 together, though, But again, getting the cue ball over towards that right-hand side of the table. That's good because the blue is hiding that loose red, the pink hiding the rest of them, so Stuart now will have to play a safety shot down this right-hand side of the table, so he'll just need to be a little bit careful of that red that's near the right side cushion there. Pot success for Stuart Bingham, just 87%. He's capable of a lot higher than that. Ronnie's at 91, that's reasonable for him. He's capable again of more than that, but it's a good sort of average for him.
A few exclamations of surprise from the Crucible crowd, but that was very difficult.
It was. I like the positive nature with which Ronnie played that all-out attack to try and cannon the black into a potable position. Stuart can attempt this. Screw back for the black. It was a decent half chance for Stuart.
What a night at the Crucible we had last night. One of those unforgettable occasions when everything was so tight, so meaningful. Bingham was involved, he was victorious. He will have gained an awful lot of positivity from that victory over Jack Lisowski. As for John Higgins, that was one of the greatest clearances I think the game's ever seen. And also, what a classy response from Mark Allen in defeat. I thought he was the epitome of sportsmanship.
Foul. Promise.
Well, he caught one safety shot extremely thin.
Bingham, 4.
With that one, he didn't make any contact at all. Had to just wipe the paint, though.
Beautifully cued by Stuart. You can see the confidence with which he played this red to the right corner. He purposely played for position on blue or bolt colour. Just looking for one good positional shot here, Stuart. Straighter on the blue would be better. He may play a cannon into them. Avoided them. He's got to avoid that red on the cushion. He just managed it. Still not straightforward. The black outer commission, the pink tied up. So he's really going to have to work hard here for the points. Unless he wants to take a risk to play for the black into the left corner. I don't think that he will.
Seven.
He was concerned there he was going to hit the red full and completely scupper himself. Mind you, this shot is no bargain.
Use the pink well there to play the cue ball up towards the colours, but this yellow is awkward. Oh, 4-ball can on the black would be nice. Just cannoned it with too much pace. I don't think it pots into the left corner. If it did, it would have been a big bonus for Stuart. Oh, played that nicely. And I think with the 4 reds in open play, he'll be quite content now, just focus on reds and blues, because if he can just pop 3 or 4 more reds with blues, this frame should be in the bag.
$21. $22. $27.
This tournament has not been plain sailing for Stuart Bingham. Had to come through 2 really difficult qualifying matches, 2 tight ones, nervy. 10-9 over Stuart Carrington, then 10-8 over Louis Heathcote. But he showed some really encouraging signs in beating Gary Wilson in the first round here, 10-5. And at times against Jack Lisowski, I thought he cued as well as I've seen him for ages.
34.
Yes, particularly early on in that match with Jack Lisowski. Jack Lisowski started off like an express train. Took a 2-0 lead in no time at all with consecutive 80 breaks, and then Stuart hit back with 5 consecutive frames, playing some superb snooker.
39.
And he hung on and he hung on to finally overcome Jack last night in that thriller.
40.
O'Sullivan had first chance, missed a black off its spot.
48.
That being the shot in question.
Stuart Bingham, 55, and the frame.
The break ends at 55, and so indeed does the frame. First blood, Bingham.
the second frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Many assumed it would be O'Sullivan-Trump in a semi-final shootout. But Trump encountered stern early resistance against Jack Jones this morning, and Bingham supplied that in the first frame here.
Played that with a lot of check side there, Stuart, and cue ball just didn't react on the cloth the way he thought it would. Consequently, caught it too thinly. Ronnie O'Sullivan doesn't normally miss these, but can he get nicely on a colour? Ronnie O'Sullivan's turn to misjudge the way the cloth is playing there. He played a stun shot, didn't get the amount of backspin on the cue ball. That's why he missed it on the thin side. Applause, but Ronnie was just a fraction away there from leaving that red to the right centre. But a touching ball declared by referee Desislava Bozhilova affords Stuart the opportunity just to play away from the reds.
Foul. Stuart Bingham, 4.
As they used to say in the clubs, best place for it. Infinitely preferable to having the cue ball jangle around in the jaws and leave a red on.
Stuart lucky to catch the green there, because had it not done so, the red that's near this left corner would have been much easier for Ronnie, but he's still attempting it, it seems. There's this cue ball going. He's going to be okay. He'll be on the blue.
1.
That was much better from Ronnie O'Sullivan in terms of the ball strike. Didn't try and play a soft stun for the black, because the cloth does appear to be playing on the heavy side for me. And Ronnie, I think, has spotted that, so played that with a lot more pace and power just to generate the amount of backspin needed to pot the red.
Six.
Tried to manufacture an angle, but the gap isn't there. The red he played on, closest to the black, obviously not available.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 6.
Stuart needs to just be a little careful here. If he can get through to the two reds together, just left of the main bunch, well, he can't. So that's the end of that. He needs to be careful here. There's a loose red or two he could leave on. And he has. Ronnie not making the most of these opportunities. His play a little full of variety at the moment.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
Yeah, not in sync yet. We've already told you about the overwhelming head-to-head record for O'Sullivan against Bingham. O'Sullivan's won their 7 most recent encounters. But every time, Dom, the slate is wiped clean and you've got to start again.
Well, that's right. Snooker players probably hate statistics because statistics only deal with the past, not the present or the future. What did Ronnie do there? Tried to play a thin edge with side spin, missed the red going down, and on the way back up caught another red entirely. And has gifted Stuart Bingham a wonderful opportunity here. The outside red he's trying to cannon into there. With right-hand side on the cue ball, he's missed it completely and hit another red. And it'll hurt Ronnie O'Sullivan if Stuart scores well here and goes on to win this second frame as well. He'll be in a spot of early bother. A former 7 times world champion.
Bingham oozes experience. Next year will be his 30th as a professional. He won't be getting carried away at all.
7.
But he must be pleasantly surprised with the way O'Sullivan has begun this match.
Well,
it's something I always say, when you're a sports person, you must be prepared for nothing and everything. You do not know what's going to happen when you begin any match that you play.
$13. Stuart Bingham, 13.
The red was a thin cut, but Stuart played that with so much check side on the cue ball, made the pot much more difficult, but he seems to have got away with it.
One.
That was more like it.
Six. Seven.
That was the red that Ronnie wanted to see the back of. It was occupying the black spot pretty much, but this is not ideal. This is tricky. Will it reach? Will it reach? No. Still no, still there.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7.
Wow, that's a mistake.
In golf, if a ball is over the hole, there's a 10-second rule. Bingham claiming the table. Quite often, when a colour is over a pocket like this, as we see O'Sullivan again just fail on that one. Quite often when a ball is over a pocket like this, it can lead to the other balls congregating around it. Stalemate, re-rack. I think we're a million miles from that yet, but it is possible somewhere down the line.
I wonder what shot Stuart has in mind here, because there are a couple of little sets of 3 reds here that could find their way close to that left centre. Well, Stuart's very careful with the shot he plays, maybe even in the left centre. Played the edge of... Oh, is the green in? No. Didn't want to take the risk there, Stuart. There was a chance the bottom 3 reds are in a line to deflect off the red just below the pink and go towards that left centre, but it's a risk. If it didn't find the pocket, you could leave something on. hasn't looked at it, but the red to the left of the yellow with the green near the pocket is a lot more potable than ordinarily it would be. That green making the pocket much bigger because the red could easily deflect off the green and in, but Ronnie doesn't fancy it, thinks it's too risky. Stuart fancied it though, played it confidently. Wow, what a mistake from Ronnie.
Good shout, Dom. Good shot, Bingham.
With the black hanging over that corner pocket, Stuart can pop this red, screw into the others, bring them into play, knowing that that black is a certainty.
6.
And that's why you simply have to classify this as a frame-winning chance. Didn't use a cushion.
13. 40. 19. 20.
Just about has the right angle here on the black. If the middle red of those three pots into the left corner, it could be favourable for Stuart because he could nudge the red and the pink apart.
$28.
I'm sure when Ronnie played his safety shot,
34.
he would have known that the red that Stuart knocked in off the green was on. Perhaps he didn't expect Stuart to take it on.
35.
Perhaps he felt that Stuart would turn it down because of the difficulty involved, but he played it so well, it set up this chance to take a 2-0 lead.
$38. $39.
Sullivan needs a snooker.
43.
Can't imagine he'll get back to the table. It's the first time he's trailed in the championship, and it's going to be 2-0.
Seven. $48.
Many of the mistakes that O'Sullivan made in the last 16 weren't punished by Ryan Day.
57.
So far today, some of O'Sullivan's errors are being seized upon.
60.
Well, you mentioned Ryan Day there. Both he and Stuart Bingham have the most unorthodox bridge hands you'll ever see in the sport. Very crab-like.
64.
No signs of fatigue from last night yet.
$75.
Bingham wide awake.
Stuart Bingham, 75.
A break of 75 there, a break of 55 in the opening frame. And Ronnie O'Sullivan trails 2-0.
Thank you. The third frame, Stuart Bingham to break.
Oh, whatever you do, Stuart, don't hit the blue. His break off in the opening frame was all over the place.
Surprising error, really, when you consider how well Stuart's striking the ball at the moment. But it doesn't matter who you are, if you don't win your first frame in a match, you never settle down, and it'll even apply to Ronnie O'Sullivan. Needs a frame on the board just to get things moving. And the other thing is, I mean, if you compare Ronnie now to how he was, let's say, 20 years ago, I'm sure he doesn't begin a match with the same degree of confidence within himself that he would have done a couple of decades ago. Just age and wisdom, all these factors.
Yes, the longevity of his career is astounding. This is 103rd match at the Crucible, 13 more than anyone else. He's looking for his 79th match win, 9 more than anyone else.
This was a very, very tough pot that Ronnie took on. He knew it was risky as well, but he struck it well. It was a good ball strike. He was only a fraction out. It's up to Stuart now to try and capitalise on that mistake.
Thank you. 1.
This is where Stuart Bingham
8.
break builds very much like all the other very best break builders. Purposely left himself low on that red
9.
to screw into the reds and back out for the black. And further signs to me that this cloth is playing on the heavy side, because That cue ball didn't respond too well from the pack of reds with all the backspin on it. Did nothing.
What a recovery shot.
Stuart could play a cannon here, but doesn't need to. This was the black, but
24.
I always fancied him for it because, as you can see, the pace he was playing at was always going to block the pocket and not leave Ronnie an opportunity to pot.
25. $32. $33. $40.
Just a little out of position here, though. Has a red to the right corner, the right centre, but positionally, this red to the left centre is the best.
$41. $48.
Well, Phil, that was 6 reds and 6 blacks, but I don't think he has the best of angles here to maintain position on the black.
It's all a matter of priorities.
$49.
He went for another black. Deprived by the middle pocket jaw, but at least he's on something.
What a message, though, that sends to Ronnie O'Sullivan. I mean, the sheer effrontery to actually
51.
risk ending your break by playing for the black to keep a maximum breaker alive. And, well, he's obviously got the confidence to do it.
But inevitably, you have to second guess and say, was it the right thing to do? If O'Sullivan gets in here and plunders the frame, I think it's a legitimate question.
Well, the thing is, when you take such a liberty, if I can be so bold as to call it a liberty, it will annoy O'Sullivan. Could fire him up.
$8. $9.
O'Sullivan's most important visit so far.
16.
He tried to play the big hero shot. Will it be costly? Indirectly.
Extension, please.
O'Sullivan audibly tutted there when he realised he would need not just the rest but also the extension.
Not a good strike from Ronnie. He nearly missed the red, but because he posses this on the thin side, that cue ball's travelled a good 2 or 3 inches closer to this side cushion now. The angle's okay on the yellow, but the pot's tricky. Oh, well done. Played it as though it was no problem at all.
22. Twenty-three.
Stuart Bingham has made 9 147s in professional competition. Maybe now he's sitting in his chair, regretting pursuing a 10th.
Yes, that one shot that Stuart played there could really come back to haunt him.
38. $39.
Ronnie still in good control here.
45.
Eventually, when he gets as far as the green, if he gets as far as the green, he'll be looking to leave himself
46.
as straight as possible on it. And then the brown and the blue to follow would be a formality. So, with the pink going in, he takes the lead by a single point. Needs to screw back about 18 inches, ideally, here.
$54.
He's short of pace a little. Needs to drop this green in slowly now.
$57.
6 in front, O'Sullivan. Brown and blue will leave Bingham requiring a snooker.
Go, Ronnie.
61. $66.
The class of 1992, they know how to clear a table. This one not quite cleared, but enough potted to leave Bingham requiring one snooker with 2 colours left.
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 6.
2 snookers needed. 1 dom is doable. 2, it's a once in a blue moon.
It is really against Ronnie O'Sullivan, isn't it?
You look back and identify turning points. With hindsight, that's the way it works. This might not be a turning point. Bingham could win the next frame, go off into the distance. Who knows? But undeniably, Dom, it's got the look of a turning point.
Well, it really has.
The frame is now over. Bingham made the early running. 3-0 was beckoning. It's 2-1 though.
Can he make a better job of the 2 break-off shots we've seen from Stuart Bingham? Well, the answer there is yes. But my other point in relation to Stuart Bingham's maximum attempt, he's 2-0 up. Ronnie O'Sullivan hasn't settled. He's making mistakes. If you attempt a maximum, the pressure you start to feel as you get closer to that maximum break, you start to feel very nervy, very edgy, you start to shake. It's a big, big moment. So even if Stuart made the maximum, for me, he'd be less likely to win the frame afterwards to keep that momentum going. He'd be 3-0 up, but feeling quite nerved.
1.
How to erase a bad moment, a bad frame. Knocking a ball like that. Outstanding.
Yes, tremendous long red from Stuart. During the middle session of his match with Jack Lisowski, at one time his long potting in that
4.
middle session was suffering so badly, it was down at just 13%.
Five.
Not quite as straight on this pink as he'd like to be, but it shouldn't be a problem. The black is a problem because it won't pot. So where does this pink go? Well, the spot's available. It will pot to the left centre and right corner. Don't think it will pot to the left corner.
11.
Stuart's just having a look. Must be tight. That was a nervy ball strike from Stuart Bingham. It wasn't
Stuart
so
Bingham,
much of a
11.
stroke, it was a hit. And the commentators like to say that he put a fast one in as he struck the cue ball. It came through very quickly. That's just a bit of tension, a loss of composure. And look where the reds are now.
No simple starter, though. He made it look simple, but it wasn't.
Yes, the best part of this, from Ronnie's point of view, was the cue ball was always going to be in a safe position. Ooh, well, I'm surprised that black didn't go in. It could be that, once again, these pockets are playing on the tight side. They were for the first few days. Just caught that near jaw.
One.
O'Sullivan hit the black with pace.
4.
When you do that, these tables are unforgiving. They can repel. So this isn't a specific point regarding that shot. It's a more general point. 36 centuries combined in the first 2 rounds here. That's the lowest amount since they had 35 in 2014. 11 centuries in the last 16. That's appreciably lower than any year in recent memory.
There have been World Championships in recent times, recent years, where the pockets have been playing
8.
so big. It's hardly been a surprise. There have been so many centuries.
Just one final thought on that. 11 centuries, as I say, in the last 16 in total. Last year, 25. In 2022 and 2021, 34. It's a very wide disparity, that.
Twelve.
Stuart, a little short of pace for this red to the right corner. Played it okay, just misjudged the speed of the bounce probably from the cue ball to the side cushion. And he's just got hold of the cue ball too much there as well. So this pink's a little trickier than Stuart would like it to be. And there's a little bit of pressure on this.
$90.
He can't get the previous frame back. But if he were to win this one, any pain from frame 3 would be
26.
significantly eased.
27.
And where he is, where the balls are, Bingham will fully expect it to be 3-1 at the interval.
$33.
Stuart's sleeve near his elbow, perilously close to fouling the red, so this is a little awkward for him. Easy to undercut these. Well done.
34.
Lead of 44 points, so just this pink. A couple more reds for a 3-1 interval lead, and a very bright start from Stuart Bingham.
Talking of bright starts, Karen Wilson leads John Higgins 3-0. His latest break, 93 in the third frame. So that's 70, 95, 93. Wilson off to a flyer.
Where's he going here?
41.
Overhit quite significantly. If he pots the pink, he'll be 57 points ahead, but 59 still remains, so needs another red.
It was a great pot in itself. To avoid all of the traffic, made it even better.
47.
And now this is frame ball.
$48.
This has been impressive, Dom, especially in the light of what happened in frame 3.
Yes, very much so, but I wonder how much pressure Stuart has put on himself ahead of this encounter with Ronnie O'Sullivan. As we look at that missed black once more, that was the key reason for Ronnie going 3-1 down at the mid-session interval. Stuart came through qualifying, won 2 matches there, has won 2 matches here at the Crucible, including that fantastic victory last night over Jack Lizowski, 13-11. So the pressure's off to some degree for Stuart. I think his best chance of victory in this match is to try and enjoy it, and he certainly seems to be doing that.
Not his highest break of the afternoon yet, Bingham, but I think it's been the most intricately compiled. Not had the black available. He's knocked in a variety of really good pots to continue this.
$68.
And just enough on for the century. Black will be tricky though.
$74. $76. $79.
Shouldn't be tricky anymore.
Stuart Bingham, 79.
Sadly, no turn, but that was a very well-compiled effort. Ronnie O'Sullivan in early trouble. He trails Stuart Bingham, the champion of 9 years ago, by 3 frames to 1. That was the review of the season. The review of the first 4 frames doesn't make pleasant reading for O'Sullivan. Yes, he put together a really good clearance to salvage the 3rd frame. By and large, though, Dom, Stuart Bingham has been the better player.
Oh, absolutely. Thoroughly deserves that 3-1 interval lead. If you look at the pot success, Ronnie O'Sullivan down at 79%. That has got to improve if Ronnie O'Sullivan is going to contend this second mini-session against Stuart Bingham. Looking for better things as Stuart Bingham prepares to break off for the 5th frame of 8 that they'll play here this afternoon.
Be quiet as possible, please.
Come on, mate. Come on.
O'Sullivan will never lack support. As soon as the cue ball was going around the table there, it was obvious that O'Sullivan was going to be left a chance. The crowd, come on, Ronnie.
Well, the black was very tight into the left corner, but Ron is more intent on trying to get on the colour here, to get on the red that's next to the black, which would bring the black into play. But he doesn't have the best angle here on this initial red to the left centre. Pink, of course, out of commission. This is a problem already for Ronnie. Well, Ronnie has played for the black there. That's a bonus if he feels it goes, but it's really tight.
The first reaction off the red to middle could not have been better. The reaction off the black was a little dead, I thought.
Absolutely, Phil. I was thinking the same thing. This table's very heavy, and it's not particularly quick. And there you see again, you see Ronnie's overcut the red, not quite getting hold of the cue ball with the backspin. And whenever you fail to play the shot the way you envisage it, you often miss them on the thin side. Tricky conditions, really, today, I think.
One.
All the talk has been about O'Sullivan's quest for that unprecedented 8th title at the Crucible. But he's also lost in the quarterfinals here on 8 occasions, including last year. Beaten by Luca Brissell. On that particular occasion, he was in front until the last session. Then Brissell had that inspirational burst. Here, he's playing catch-up.
Yeah, Ronnie really struggled during the latter half of that match with Luca Brissell. In the last 7 frames, didn't record a single 30 break.
Eight. 9.
Stuart didn't get the stun on the cue ball there to come wide of that red. The red that he cannoned into
16.
was supposed to be his next intended red for this left corner. Still has one to the right centre. But it's rather tricky. See the pot success, 90%. That's reasonably good. No.
Stuart Bingham, 16.
So much of snooker history tells us when you've got O'Sullivan down, you need to keep him there.
Ronnie.
1.
Ronnie, like all great champions, will recognise potential turning points. He'll know that that mistake from Stuart will hurt him
9.
if it were to cost him the frame, and no reason why it won't. He's red to set out beautifully for Ronnie.
$16. 17. 24.
Just a little deliberation here from Ronnie. I think he feels if he pots a red, the cue ball could run towards the 2 to the left. So just had to change his shot a little. And the result of that is he's a little lower on the black than he wanted to be. May play a cannon into the reds and the pink now.
$32. 33.
When you're 2 frames ahead of O'Sullivan, you're 20 minutes away from potentially being on level terms. He can turn things around so swiftly.
$40. 41.
I've always thought that when conditions are not ideally suited to Ronnie, or anybody really, he copes with those awkward conditions better than most. He formulates his style of play in accordance with the conditions, and he doesn't let it get on top of him.
47.
Could not agree more. He's the finest terrific table player, and he's the finest bad table player.
$55.
There's no doubt he's not getting the usual zip out of the cue ball.
$56. 60.
52 the lead, just this red required to reduce the rears to a single frame, barring snookers.
61.
What a kick.
68.
A real clunker.
Ronnie's one of these players that still uses the old variety of chalk where kicks were prevalent.
$74. 75.
Approximately 1/6 of O'Sullivan's career centuries have been made in this building.
$83.
Chasing his 206th century at the Crucible.
$89. 91. 94. 98.
Will that be a galvanising effort?
$109.
Superb from O'Sullivan. Just what he needed. Bingham missed the red to middle. O'Sullivan did the rest.
Thank you. Frame 6. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Ronnie won't be very pleased to have left this long red on for Stuart Bingham, whose long game hasn't been great in the last few sessions that he's played. It's something I'm sure he'll be aware of. I set that one up for him, didn't I, with my comments there, but that was beautifully cued. Although as long pots go, that one was very makeable with the cue ball a long way off the baulk cushion. If he pots the black, the cue ball will be running into the two reds above it, so he'll need to judge the positional aspect of the shot well. Certainly good value for his 3-2 lead. Stuart Bingham made breaks of 55, 75, 51 and 79. Ronnie O'Sullivan's also made breaks of 66 and that terrific 116 we saw just now.
No, Ronnie.
Stuart Bingham 1.
O'Sullivan back to the table, but might well have had something there to go for.
It's borderline whether that red will cut into the left corner. Only just playing a safety off it, it would appear. think the red above the cue ball won't quite pot to the yellow pocket. It's tight, but it would be risky. There you see, it doesn't quite go.
The burst of applause wasn't for that mundane safety shot. It was for Karen Wilson and John Higgins returning after their mid-session interval. Wilson with a commanding 4-0 lead.
Thank you, 2-5.
I think that shot gives you the perfect view of just how intimate the Crucible is. Less than 1,000 paying members of the public watch each session. It's the hottest ticket in town. O'Sullivan said shot there, of course, in a very sarcastic way. In the end, no damage. Tell you what, though, that pink being flicked across to the right-hand side has made O'Sullivan's life more difficult. An obvious return to ball had the pink not finished where it has. Just not one in instead and go down to the black.
Still very awkward for Ronnie O'Sullivan, though. Needs to try and get into those reds somehow, but the angle isn't really there. Deep screw off the side cushion, lots of side. Well, he's hit something. Deserves a bit of luck, does he? Has he had any? Just caught the top of the reds. Not sure he's on anything. Is there something that pots into that left centre? Not quite sure.
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan 8, Stuart Bingham 4.
One of those in-offs that, yes, give 4 points away, but don't do any great material damage.
Becoming a little bit of a scrappy frame, this. I just feel that both players have lost a touch of focus and concentration. But that's a much better safety shot. Cue ball finding the baulk cushion pretty much. Just opened a few reds into play there as well during the course of that safety, so that just puts a little bit more pressure now on Stuart's return to baulk.
Foul. Numbers. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
Alrighty.
Free ball.
He's left a free ball. Has he been fortunate that the brown isn't available? Yes, he has. That's why O'Sullivan's put him back in. Well, maybe fortunate in this kind of situation is the wrong word, because he's in a heap of trouble. Self-imposed trouble.
He was lucky, though, not to leave that brown on, because that would have been a great opportunity for Ronnie O'Sullivan to level this match up at 3-all. As it is, Stuart has a chance to escape from this snooker and leave things safe if he can just rest that cue ball among those three reds near the left centre, where he's looking at something else now. I need to be careful here. Well, that's not going to reach. He's found a good shot to play there, though, Stuart. It's a tricky line to try and get right.
Ronnie.
Well played safety shot from Ronnie, and he'll be very pleased that that red has been shunted towards the left corner. That gives Stuart a little bit more of a headache. He'll need to hide that because it's very potable. Surely Stuart can play off the red that the cue ball's closest to here, get the cue ball back in bulk behind the brown possibly, or the green. As long as he hides that red that's near the left corner.
Ronnie O'Sullivan's always had a very good safety game. It was underestimated for years, not anymore. Early in his career, though, more often than not, he didn't have the patience to employ those safety traits.
Stuart playing the red next to the black, which means the black's in play a little more now, and I think there's a gap through to this red near the left corner. Big shot, though, this for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Important that he knocks this in.
One.
It's a table, Dom, that even with his mind needs a lot of working out. Just about held the cue ball sufficiently.
It's all about choosing the right positional shot here. There are a couple of shots Ronnie would like to play, but they involve a little bit of a risk. Well, in the end, he trusted to a little bit of luck, and that's not ideal. There is a cuttable red to the left corner, but the cue ball will be running into the three reds near the left-hand side cushion, so it's risky.
3.
With no guarantee of position to a colour.
Throughout his glittering career, I think that's always been a good sign when he
Sullivan, 3.
shies away from something low percentage in favour of doing the right thing. That's always a message to his opponent that he means business.
Exactly that, Phil, yes. When you see Ronnie turning shots down, exercising patience, you know he's up for that particular match at that particular time.
People say intervals change matches. Maybe that's been the case on the other table. I can tell you John Higgins now trails 4-1 against Kyron Wilson. And he broke his duck, did Higgins, in spectacular fashion with a break of 129. Higgins second on the list of all-time century makers at the Crucible with 172. 34 behind the man who's just played that safety shot here. Well done to Bingham there. O'Sullivan could have some issues.
He's just been a little unlucky, Stuart. There's a gap between yellow and blue for Ronnie to just thin edge one of the reds, take the cue ball back towards the yellow pocket. But not in it from his point of view. If you can avoid the in-off, he hasn't.
Foul, Stuart Bingham.
Oh, that's unlucky, as he left a pot on with the ball in hand.
And that in-off, of course, coming in a frame when Stuart Bingham was a fraction away from leaving a free ball.
Hello, Ronnie. Go on.
There was a potentially easier long pot that Stuart could have lined up for there, but measure of his confidence, but maybe he's unaware that his long game has been suffering a little. There you see it. 45% is a lot better than it has been from Stuart in previous sessions, but one is 80%. That's outstandingly good at any time. And now look at the position of the reds. This is a wonderful chance for Ronnie O'Sullivan to raise that deficit of 3 frames to 1, which he was faced with at the interval. Of course, made that terrific 116 in the previous frame.
One.
Choices, but nothing that's a certainty. Green's missable. So is the pink.
Problem with the green is he'll be queuing over all of those reds. Can he get down on the shot properly? Well, seems as though he can. Just. But he's missed it anyway. Couldn't quite get down over the shot properly. And what a disappointment for Ronnie O'Sullivan that will be. What a chance he had there.
Yeah, from the previous red, he dropped in a strange zone. I'm with you, Dom. I still thought he would pot it, but there was just that element of doubt.
One.
Oh, I was watching that red. I was watching the red. It's come off the top jaw and blocked the pocket for the simple pink. You can't cut the black in. It's little things like that that can make an enormous difference to matches. The green won't pass the red, so it's yellow or safety.
Bingham's nickname is Bull Run. It did not apply there. What a cracker, but he was watching that anxiously. No jaw involved. Super cueing.
I noticed there when Stuart struck the cue ball, the cue came right off his bridge hand towards his wristwatch. Quite unusual, really, but he prefers this red. Yeah, that's a good one. Nicely on the blue, in perfect position now.
The frame in progress for 24 minutes, the lengthiest of the afternoon, with 9 reds still there.
Nine.
Stuart loved to play for the red that's nearest the left corner, near this top cushion, because then he could get the black into play, but he's missed the red. What happened there? Was it a bad contact or a bad shot?
Sending a red into the far jaw of that middle pocket cost him dear in frame 5. Will it be a repeat in the 6th?
1. Six. Seven.
If Ronnie has just a little angle on the black, he can play for that red that's nearest the left corner. That would help things for Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Fourteen. 15.
That's exactly where he wanted to be. He can stun into the red just below the black now to leave himself on the other one.
Bingham was in, and suddenly he was out.
23.
With a 32-point lead, the two reds close to the left-hand side cushion are Ronnie O'Sullivan's allies.
$31.
Yes, indeed. Probably play the pink here, not straight enough on the black, but can play for the red next to it into the same pocket. So the lead of 39. So just needs red, high-value colour, and one more red. And I think the red that Ronnie would like to just trundle down the cushions, the one below the black.
38.
Trundle being the operative word. Just float this in. Allow the pace
43.
to let it drop. It wasn't a trundle, it was
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 43.
played a little harder than that. Again, underlining the tightness of the pockets, though.
Yeah, there was no need to play it at that pace, but Ronnie had the confidence. He wanted to just pop the black afterwards to make doubly sure of winning the frame, but he's still favourite, considering the position of the remaining reds and the fact that Stuart's not nicely on the colour here. Just doing some arithmetic. 44 behind if he pots a green. 41 behind with 43 on.
And of course, if he misses a colour, he will need a snooker. Might influence his shot choice.
Thank you. 4. Stuart Bingham, 4.
So a frame that was on the brink of being over is now very much alive. Tell you what, he's had a few in-offs this afternoon, and that gives Bingham 4 invaluable points.
Really? He exclaims. Good red from Stuart Bingham. Yeah, those 4 points are indeed invaluable to Stuart Bingham. He doesn't have to worry about a high-value colour now from this remaining red. Doesn't have a good angle on the black, though. Oh, he's going to have to power this in to get onto the red, surely. Oh, he's developed it. It's not bad. If he rolls a red in, I don't think the key ball will cannon into the pink. It'll go below it, and he'll be on the pink or the black, possibly.
The black was a superb shot. Can he fully exploit it? The same far jaw, the same middle pocket, the same problems for Bingham. Shouldn't complain about that. The red could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, Ronnie would love a colour safe somewhere, but I don't see any way he could contrive to make that happen. Not from here, anyway. 29 points the lead, just needs the red. Oh, he's controlled the pace of this cue ball delightfully. It's another snooker that Stuart finds himself in. Stuart will try and come around the back of the red, kick it down towards this top end of the table, but he needs to be careful the red doesn't cannon into the brown.
The fact he's checked this twice tells us it's tight.
One.
And now the match is tight. Can't be any tighter.
No, Stuart beginning to mutter to himself. Always a sign
6.
of unease.
Nine.
35-minute frames aren't Ronnie O'Sullivan's stamp. But he's won it.
13. $18. $24.
Ronnie O'Sullivan trailed 2-0 and indeed 3-1. Now, though, he's back on level terms. A couple more frames to be played.
Thank you. Frame 7. Stuart Bingham to break.
It's been one of those unpredictable sessions, really. I think one thing we can say with a fair amount of certainty is that this frame won't last 36 minutes.
Well, after that red, Phil, I'm inclined to agree with you. What a pot that was from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Almost tight against the bolt cushion, beautifully cued. Now can Ronnie somehow get onto that red that's just above the black? Just wants to be high on it. And then in potting it, he can stun the other red away from the black and open the black spot right up. Fortunately for him, he's just overrun that. So that shot isn't on. But if the black pots past the red anyway to the right corner, he's all right. It must go. But the red hasn't. Oh, well, Ronnie showing some frustration there. I don't blame him. That was a poor one for him. Trying to pinch the pocket, maybe, to hold the cue ball. Better for the black. Banging his cue. Don't like to see that.
1.
Given the severity of these pockets, I think it was more of a miss than a pinch.
$8.
Yes, I think he was trying to pot the red slightly on the thick side just to make sure that the cue ball remained in better position for the black. It's not a shot that Ronnie expects to fail with, but just put it too high up on the jaw and it didn't go in. Ronnie, of course, showing immediate frustration, banging his cue against the side of the table. Hope he hasn't damaged it. worth just mentioning again, this cloth is playing slightly awkwardly. It's a little heavy, a little slow. Testing both players.
Nine.
And after committing mistakes in the previous 2 frames, I think it's important for Bingham to make his presence felt again.
$16. $17.
Well, the red at the bottom of the pack does appear to go. Stuart's played deliberately low on it to give himself the opportunity to bring other balls into play. Now, just watch Ronnie here.
4.
Bangs the cue against the side of the cushion. Now, that hit the woodwork. Now, that has probably placed a dent in the cue of Ronnie O'Sullivan, in all likelihood, if I'm honest. He'll be coming back to the table fairly shortly, it seems. That's gone wrong.
Stuart Bingham, 25.
Should have been more premature departure from the table.
So many psychological aspects to snooker. Now, if Stuart loses this frame to Ronnie, it'll hurt him more than if Ronnie had have made a big break from the opportunity that he had. And here is Ronnie's opportunity to win the frame. That's a mistake from Stuart. And as I say, if Ronnie can win the frame from here, it will have more of an adverse effect on Stuart Bingham.
1.
That was a sweet strike.
8.
Okay, it was a pretty routine shot, but he cued it nicely.
9. $16. 70. $24. 25.
He's not getting as much out of the table as he anticipates.
33.
But he's got so much in the armoury.
I'm just watching the cue ball as it travels across the bed of the table and just observing how quickly it begins to slow down and stop. It's definitely slow, this cloth, when you consider it's virtually brand new.
41.
Typically speedy O'Sullivan break.
48.
And yet played with a nice rhythm. It's not
55.
too hasty.
56.
36 in front. So the black and one more red. Checking the scoreboard, that's why he was
63.
looking over his shoulder. Just making absolutely sure. Such a tricky little shot, this. Not surprised he missed it.
Oh yeah, Sullivan. 70.
But surely the work's been done. Surely. So the maths sees 50 ahead, 35 on. 4 snookers needed.
Yeah, even 2 snookers with a free ball. Surely Stuart Bingham is only delaying the inevitable.
Yes, if you're in what I call the free ball zone, which is 1 snooker plus a free ball, and you can win the frame that way, I think that's doable. O'Sullivan almost in off there. Frames have been won from this kind of predicament, but not very often.
Not against Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And when your opponent needs a bucket load of snookers, there's no rule against putting him in one.
having observed this session, the cue ball seems to run on a lot further when it's travelling towards bulk than it is when it's travelling down towards this black spot end. It seems a lot slower down this top end of the table.
That's useful. Because if O'Sullivan comes round the back of this red and doesn't make contact, it will be a guaranteed free ball. Bingham's chances of winning this frame, as we've asserted, are slim. But if he can just knock O'Sullivan out of whatever rhythm he's in, that will be useful in itself.
Don't really think, though, this is doing Stuart Bingham's rhythm any favours either. Stuart has to concentrate on every shot that he plays here in his attempt to get the snookers he requires. Ronnie, I'm sure, is probably taking a bit of a mental breather.
Yeah, maybe he just sees value in frustration. No hint of frustration yet. O'Sullivan keeping his discipline. A frame that refuses to end. A ball that refuses to be potted. Up to now, we've been going for 2 hours and 16 minutes. That for O'Sullivan is quite a lengthy session, especially when we've got this dying embers and then one more frame to go.
It is a long session. I think conditions of the tablecloth and the cushions, ball reaction haven't helped that. But from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view, he's about to take a 4-3 lead. Was 3-1 behind, so all in all, he'll be happy enough because he'll feel he has a lot more to give. Correct shot to play there really would be a slow drag to leave the red in or over the green pocket. But Ronnie just sometimes in these situations likes to test his cueing, play a certain type of shot to get the feel of a certain type of shot that he feels isn't functioning.
While this is going on, I can tell you that Ronnie O'Sullivan is involved in a 3-player battle to finish the season as world number 1. And I'll tell you more about that later, because the frame is finally over, and for the first time this afternoon, Ronnie O'Sullivan hits the front. It's 4-3 to the Rocket.
Thank you. Final frame of this session. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
So Ronnie O'Sullivan breaking off for the 8th and final frame of this session. Left-handed as always when he breaks off. And it's not a bad break off.
Yeah, even though the red did meander down the table, but the brown saving O'Sullivan's bacon.
Players hate it when there's a red up the table above the line of the blue that's possible into a centre pocket somewhere, because it puts a lot of pressure on his safety shot to try and hide it. Stuart has a problem here. Doesn't have an easy shot to play. Cleverly using the jaw of the middle pocket, though, to ricochet the cue ball back to Bulk. Good pot from Stuart. I think he's a little surprised that the cue ball didn't travel further. That's because it did seem to be a slightly heavy contact. As I say, Ronnie O'Sullivan uses the old brand of chalk called the green triangle chalk. And when you get a kick with that particular variety of chalk, it does sometimes leave a spot of chalk on the object ball, and Stuart was just scraping it off there with his finger.
Put the wrappers down, please.
Somebody rustling a sweet wrapper, perhaps. Get a lot of that here at the Crucible. Boiled sweets are most people's favourites.
Seven.
He's done all right there, Stuart. It's a very good red, but he has a good angle on the yellow. Well done. Done very well to keep this break going. And now he's right in amongst them.
Ten.
Well, that certainly hasn't worked out for Stuart Bingham. Played the black with force and top spin.
17.
Into the pack of reds, but that cue ball just kept powering through right against that little shelf of 5 reds there. He's on nothing.
Stuart Bingham, 17.
Well, the red that's closest to the blue isn't dissimilar from the red that Stuart Bingham knocked in, but There's a lot more risk involved with this one because there's no path back that I can see to bulk. But he can stun across the side of the table to leave himself low on the blue. Stuart attempted there to make a plant. There is a potential double on here for Ronnie, but some players would have a go at this, some wouldn't. Oh, Ronnie did have a go at it. Cue ball's finished well, though.
And we can say exactly the same there.
Little unlucky the red has finished near this right corner, but it's not going to be an easy positional shot this for Stuart Bingham with the blue off its spot and the pink only available into the left corner. Good shot that he's played, but that cue ball only just missed cannoning that end red to the left of the pack.
We've said it before, we'll say it again. Bingham,
6.
after losing each of the 3 previous frames, has to start re-establishing himself in the match. He began very enterprisingly. Breaks of 55, 75, 51 and 79 to lead 3-1.
7.
Since the interval for him, it's been much more of a struggle. But I think the way the session has gone, 4-4 would be a reasonable scoreline.
I think Stuart will be much the happier of the two, certainly. Saw a close-up there of the ferrule of Stuart's cue. There's a black line underneath it. Now, people have always asked me about that with Stuart's cue. It's actually a plastic ring that's underneath the ferrule just to protect
30.
the base of the ferrule from chipping away at the at the wood or timber below it. So they've put, I think the Americans call it a vault, a little plastic washer basically. Well, key shots coming up here for Stuart. 37 points the lead. He needs to go into the reds to develop a few. There's only one potable red just to the right of that little group of reds.
A shot coming up that could be key. Just didn't get the movement he wanted.
20.
Again, Phil, on a livelier cloth, those reds would split much better. Don't think he has a potable red on, so he may just flick off the red closest to the cue ball, try and get the cue ball in behind the brown.
Stuart Bingham, 28.
O'Sullivan's only success pre-interval was the third frame when he rallied from 51 to 0 behind. Something similar needed here. The placement of the balls will keep O'Sullivan interested. Nothing awkward. But of course, it's a moot point if Bingham knocks this in. Never in doubt. What a cracker.
Big shot to take on this. Had it not gone in, could have left the lot on for a winning clearance from Ronnie O'Sullivan. But that was a superb pot from Stuart Bingham under pressure again. Chance now for 4-all.
Six. 7. 14.
Looks glum. I think he's resigned to the fact his afternoon's going to finish on a negative note. But you never know.
Ronnie expecting now for this session to be at an end very soon. And the reason I think Stuart will be pleased with 4-all is because he must be very tired after his match yesterday. And he'll have a chance now to get a good night's sleep and try to recover a little bit more.
$21. 22.
That leaves O'Sullivan requiring snookers. And even though position has been surrendered, I'd be very surprised if O'Sullivan came back now. I think it might be worth coming back, but I'd be surprised if he did. Let's see. No, O'Sullivan's had enough of that frame of the afternoon in general. But having been 3-1 down, he can't be too displeased. We start all over again tomorrow with a score. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4, Stuart Bingham 4. A fair reflection of the exchanges.